Everybody. Happy Thanksgiving Eve. I am so happy to be here. The truck agrees. I am looking forward to seeing how many people come today because it is the start of the holidays. So it could be that you guys are all cooking your turkeys and baking your apple pies and at the supermarket to get any last minute gifts or food, grocery store shenanigans. Anyway, I'm looking forward though to doing this live coaching with you guys if indeed anybody shows up. But if not, that's okay too. I'll just stay a short amount of time. Today was a busy day. I got to do some coaching for Turbo Sam on Investors Underground, and we had a great conversation with two volunteers who got their coaching. Hi, Shane. It's so good to see you. How are you? Did you hear that truck? I was like a big horn. It's funny because it's usually so quiet in this little town, but it's getting busier and busier. So, anyway, I guess we're going to hear a little bit of background noise on occasion, but it's not New York City loud yet. No, it'll never get New York City. There's like 200,000 people on this island. I'm not sure what the tourist count is, but it is never going to be anywhere close to 8 million people. So I think we're safe. But I'm curious how you're doing, Shane. It feels like it's been a very long time since we've come together. I can't wait until next week. I'm doing great. Thank you for asking, and I'm glad you're doing good. Curious how your trading's going, of course. So you're gonna have to give me an update. Happy Thanksgiving, Tina. Eve. Happy Thanksgiving Eve is right. I'm glad you guys are here. So please tell me if you have anything you want me to coach you on. I was going to riff a little bit about gratitude today. I presume you guys are all on my email list. I'm looking forward to it as well. Good. I'm so glad. Good. Yeah, it feels like on one hand, I think it was good that we got this little like space for you guys to integrate everything, and then I just suspect there'll be like a pop when we have our next session next Thursday. So anywho, gratitude. I wanted to make sure first of all you guys are all on the curtain call. And I wanted to share that with you guys, but I'm not sure. Do I have that handy? I think I do. Let me just get the link here because I have an email going out this week that I have to say is, not something I talk about often. So I have to say, when I was putting it together, I was like, nervous isn't quite the right word. I'm trying to think what the word is. I kind of feel like cautious, and where I'm trying to get into the chat box here. Okay, there it is. So this is where if you guys, I think you guys, Shane and Tina, you guys are on my curtain call. I'm pretty sure. But those who aren't, you can sign up here for my curtain call, which is a play on my name. In case you guys didn't notice that, Curtin is spelled, my last name is spelled Curtin. So I had a good friend come up with that name, curtain call, many moons ago, and I loved it. So I still use it. I think it's such a perfect oh, that arrow looks like it's in the wrong spot. It probably should be pointing down. But anyway, what was I saying? Just that this concept. So I'm sharing a spiritual experience that I had in Curtin Call this Friday. I just wrote it the other day. And I have to see, because it's a pretty bodacious experience, I was a little bit hesitant to share it because first of all, it's a very special experience that I had. It's like precious to me. So, there's just that little bit of like, wanting to protect it and keep it close. But there's also a part of me that realizes it's kind of a wild experience. And, I'm a very logical, kind of left brain kind of girl, but I'm also a very spiritual girl. That is not a flag that, I run around with, if you will. But I really, try to ask Source, Spirit, to be my companion on this journey of doing what I do. I feel like I've been listening to Source with all the, major and minor choices I've made in my life. And so I feel like being in partnership and always striving to be closer and transcend my ego is the call that I have. So I was, looking for inspiration about how to speak to gratitude in the newsletter this week, when it came to me that it was appropriate to share this story. And I was just like, oh my goodness, am I going to really share that story with everybody? Like, will they be like, what the heck is going on? But anywho, that's what I did. So I'm very curious how it will impact everybody, because ultimately, whatever I write, I want it to impact people positively. I want it to serve you guys. I want it to be ultimately in service to your journey. My journey, I feel, is only appropriate to share if it serves your journey. So anyhow, so you guys going to get a little sneak preview of what the curtain call says for Friday in today's conversation, because this is just something I feel that's so powerful, right? At the end of the day, what do I want to do for you guys? I want to give you guys tools that are effective, tools that'll assist you in your trading and in your life. And I feel this tool of gratitude is one of the most profound practices anybody could utilize. And I feel frustrated by the fact that gratitude sometimes sort of gets relegated to kind of like, I don't know, a wimpy, wussy, what's the word? Like trivial Hallmark movie kind of action. And it's so not. It is absolutely one of the most profound places one can shift out of darkness. When you begin to practice the art, really, it's an art of gratitude, of appreciation, of being grateful, of thanksgiving. All of these words, when you really begin to practice them diligently, there will be so much profound change in your life. It's hard to describe. And part of what I relate to in this week's curtain call is how I had a out of body experience in the midst of my being in prayer / meditation, and in a really deep sense of gratitude. The gratitude was, I feel, the gateway into this profound experience. And what experience it was. And I have no doubt gratitude is what facilitated that opening, that passing through a gate between me and the divine that day. And while, I can't guarantee that that'll be your experience with gratitude, I can promise you, though, you will see the world through a different lens. I think it's really easy to be stuck in what is not working, what you don't have, what you wish you had, the glass being half empty, focusing on the things that you could have been. If only I was 20 pounds thinner, if only I was moving faster as a trader, if only I had, enough money to go past the PDT rule. Like all of the things that you guys focus on about where you want to be versus where you are is imagine if you shift that whole thing and think, oh my God, I have any ability, extra cash to trade it all. I am lucky that I still have a full-time job, so I can work part-time as a trader and start to get, my experience. And oh my God, I have a house. oh my God, I have food 3 meals a day, maybe more. I have Wi-Fi, high-speed Wi-Fi. Like there are so many very simplistic things that when you start to really focus on what you appreciate, what do you do well? We always have a tendency to look at what we don't do enough of, what we think how we stop ourselves, the places that we have potholes, the places that we feel stuck, the things that we wish we weren't doing. Again, it's like such a focus on the negative instead of shifting your focus. What do you do well? What are you proud of yourself for transcending? What is different now than was 5 years ago, 5 minutes ago, 5 years ago? Like start to notice all the things that you are doing in a way that is better than ever before. And I promise you, you'll be shocked at how your mood instantly shifts. And not just your mood, guys, but like how the world looks to you, how the market will look to you. But you have to find a way to get to this place, this muscle within, which has a tendency to be kind of hidden until you start to get into the practice of it. So I'll pause there, see if there's any questions about what I've said already. And if Shane, we have 5 people here. So Shane and Tina, you're 2 of them. If you guys have questions or anybody here has questions, please put them in. I got my daily dose of caffeine here for this call. It's about 2:45 my time. So gratitude being so important, Shane says. I'm glad something I've reminded you of during the small group coaching as well. Shane, I'm so glad you see it as important. And all I can say is that when we start to step into gratitude, there's also the energy of appreciation. And this is a book that I really love. I'm trying to think of a hat here on my bookshelf. There's a great book called Appreciative Inquiry. And that book is a book that has been used in the corporate environment for years. I don't have it here. Must have it at home. Appreciative inquiry is a practice in the corporate, when we do leadership development in the corporate environment. What appreciative inquiry encourages is that coaches, leadership development, management consultants will walk into an organization and look at all that the company is doing well. Look at all the things that are going right, all the things that make people feel encouraged. The entire inquiry will be noticing everything that is healthy about that organization. It is so incredible. Like people don't know what to do with that. They're like, wait, you want to talk about what works? Yes, we want to talk about what works. All of that data is collected and everybody starts to be in a different headspace about what does work. What do we do well as an organization? What do we do well with our people? What do we do well with the leaders we promote? When everybody starts to put their shift on what works in an organization, and you guys can do this with your trading too, PS, what do you do well as a trader? What things did you notice that you never noticed before? Start to catch all the things you do well, all the things you do that are profitable, all the times you didn't get triggered by a loss, all the times FOMO didn't catch you. This practice shifts everything. And in organizations with appreciative inquiry, what was discovered is that when they focused on what was done properly, the things that weren't done properly just magically started to dissipate without even anybody addressing them. Because when you put your focus on what's working, what's going well, guess what? You start to see it more frequently. You start to see it more often. You start to catch all the things that are going in a good direction instead of just looking for what's gone wrong. I agree with you, Thomas. Pay attention to the details. God for sure is in those details. Absolutely. But look for the details of what's going well. Train yourself, guys. This is where it takes some work. It is culturally very acceptable to focus on what's wrong. It's culturally encouraged to focus on what's wrong. Why? Because Madison Avenue wants to sell us a solution. Madison Avenue wants us to buy a pill or a purse or a watch or a car so that we can cover up that which is wrong, so to speak. And that's why this practice is so foreign for most of us, because we weren't encouraged to focus on what's going well. But I would be very curious, guys, if you were open to it. Good, Shane. Made a massive difference in his life as well as his trading. Excellent to hear. I'm so happy to hear that. So I would love for everybody here, what happens if for just, let's say, the next week or 2 weeks, whatever you want to take on, or a month, you can do it for as long as you want. What happens if you spend every day noticing all the trading you did well? What if you look back over all your trading journals and find all the places you did well? And then guess what? Turn up the volume on that. Don't focus on what you do badly. Don't focus on the things that you know you shouldn't have done. I want you to focus on all that you did well, all that you did right, all that was profitable, all the green days. Look for the patterns in the stuff that you know was the better way to trade. And then what happens? Possibly it begins to crowd out that which isn't. All we can do is see what happens if you guys are my little guinea pigs. All right, what was the other thing I wanted to say? Oh, I remember years ago, I had hurt my knee pretty badly, and I went to this doctor, and this doctor said, we have to do surgery. And I'll tell you, I was not keen on that suggestion. And so I went to a second doctor, can't remember the formal title of these guys. I was in New York, so I had a lot of selection then. And I went to the second doctor. I said, look, I'm being told surgery is necessary. I'm going to tell you right now, doc, I'm not doing the surgery. So what else can I do? Now, guess what he came up with? Another solution. What a shock, right? Because I went in there saying, I'm not doing surgery. And he was able to come up with a solution. Now, here's what my speculation says. My speculation says that if I went to the first doctor and told him I'm not doing surgery, he would have come up with an alternative solution. And if I went to the second doctor and had nothing to say, he would have said surgery. Because when you're a surgeon, guess what? You look through the lens of surgery. I'm not saying there isn't a time and a place where surgery is necessary. Not making surgery wrong, guys. What I'm trying to say is that when you are a surgeon, you are going to look through the lens of surgery is always the answer. When you are looking for what's wrong, you're going to find what's wrong. There's a great statement that says, when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I want you guys to think about, where are you a hammer that's always looking for nails? Where are you, even when you trade, guys, if you have a particular mindset, a particular perspective, I want to know, and I want you to know and keep track of what that is. If you walk into the market with a perspective of there's no opportunities right now, guess what? You're not going to find any opportunities. If you walk into the market like there's plenty of opportunities, there's more than enough opportunities, you will likely find that. We have this ability to have a cognitive distortion based on what we tell ourselves we're going to experience. And we have to realize that that influences what we do see. part of our brain just works that way. And that's why, guys, I want you to be very careful about what it is that you focus on. There's a great is it Netflix? I'm not sure what the platform is. I'm trying to look for it. I think it's called Shrink or Shrinking. It's Harrison Ford has a bit part in it. I think maybe it's on Apple TV. I love it. I thought it was great. I watched the whole season. I think it was just its first season. Let me see. Shrinking. It's a comedy drama, and yeah, it's called Shrinking. I would really recommend it. It's it's a therapist. Jason Segel plays a therapist who's grieving. He's just lost his wife, and he's still coaching. He's giving therapy to his clients. But one of the things that you see him like wrestling with is because he's grieving, he's kind of a bit negative. He's kind of in this stuckness. And part of like the journey that he goes on is like how his perspective is impacting everything, including his way of interacting with his clients. So I think it's worth watching. But there was a reason I was talking about that, and I'm just trying to remember what was the specificness. There's a place where he talks about just the vision of how when you come into any situation with a preset expectation, you inevitably see that expectation work its way out in front of you. It just can't help but happen. So anyway, I recommend Shrinking if you guys are open to it, because it just helps us see how quirky we are and how we are built to be a certain way. And that if we go into situations absolutely convinced we're going to find something, we're going to find it, even if it's not likely. So long story short, that situation with the surgeon for me and my leg was very telling, because it taught me, wow, I could have actually just listened to that first doctor and done surgery. I could have easily just said, oh, all right, I have to have surgery. And then God help me. And God, my knee's fine. I mean, they're not like they were when I was 20, but I don't have any issues. And yet, if I wasn't the authority of my own body in that experience, I could have easily just stepped into surgery that maybe wasn't necessary. And maybe that doctor, he can't help but see it as a surgeon because that's his mindset. But I think it's really important to be conscious and present, guys, to what is your mindset. Ask yourself that every time you sit down at your trading desk. What is the mindset I'm in today? Am I coming from a glass half filled kind of mindset? Am I coming from a place of feeling hopeful? Am I feeling like, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk? Oh, I know, that's what I wanted to say about the Shrinking. There's a character in Shrinking who's a friend of the main star, whose favorite quote and kind of is his moniker, if you will, is everything always works out for me. That's his phrase. He says it repeatedly to the point where it's almost annoying. Every time he is interacting with his friend, he says to his friend, well, everything always works out for me. So that is a man who is walking through his entire life, right? Parking spots in the mall, right? Interactions with other people, walking into court. He's an attorney, so he's walking into court at one point with this guy representing him. Constantly is in the headspace of everything always works out for me. It is such a profound statement. What happens to your life? What happens to your trading, guys, if you constantly say that phrase to yourself? Everything always works out for me. After a while, guess what? You start to actually create everything working out for you, because you begin to see yourself as powerful. You begin to see yourself as not a victim of a circumstance, but as a creator of circumstance, not in an egotistical, what's the word, magical thinking sort of way, but in a place of, I just know everything always works out for me. It begins to change your physiology, your perspective on how life shows up for you. And that is a powerful thing. So I'll pause there, see if we have any questions, see if you guys want me to coach you on anything. Let me know. All right, I'm going to take a sip of my Diet Coke with 3 lemons. I like lemon. I know it's not good for us, Diet Coke, but it is definitely my Achilles heel. Sometimes I just need a Diet Coke with 3 lemons. All right, guys, what are you grateful for this year? That would be a great thing to learn. I'd love to hear you guys share what it is that you're grateful for. Hi. I'm so glad you're here. Oh, it's so fun. It's good to have you here. It's so nice. You're so cute. All the exclamation points. I love exclamation points, but I don't use them as much anymore because I got scolded once by my writing coach. His name was Bill Zinsner. If you guys don't know Bill Zinsner, you should look him up. He was a journalist for many years, and he is a nonfiction writer. And he also became kind of a writing coach to a lot of writers. And when I was working on my book, Transforming Wall Street, I got to Hawaii and I had writer's block. You listen to all my Steady Trade podcasts. Thank you so much. That's so flattering. I hope that they served you. Thank you for listening to them. I had a lot of fun with Tim Bowen and Stephen Johnson way back when. It was amazing how time flies so fast. So I hope they served you. And if you want to share too what it was about, one or another episode or two that served you, like what did you learn about yourself for your trading? That would be great. I think everybody would love to hear how it served you. But so William Zinsser, there was this big article in the New York Times about him and his, he was starting to lose his vision. So he was letting writers read their content to him. But when I called him, I definitely had writer's block. And I was really scared because I had this house sitting big in Hawaii and I wasn't able to get the book out of me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm running out of time. What am I going to do? Who gets so lucky to get a house sitting big in Hawaii? And now I'm here. I have my interviews done. I had 90 interviews. So I had lots of content, but how to put it all together was really tricky. And so I called Bill because his phone number was still listed. I was old school because I knew he was in his 90s. I figured he's losing his sight. He's not on email. So I just called for information, and lo and behold, his number was still listed in New York. He lived in Manhattan. And I got him on the phone and I told him my problem, and he just cut right through it and gave me my solution, what was my block. And then much later on, when I told him about the manuscript and how happy I was and that his coaching had helped me get through that writer's block, I guess I said something about my exclamation point use. And he, to this day, guys, I don't know if it's still here. I'm going to look quickly on my phone. I think I still have it. I have basically a 3-minute voicemail from William Zinsser, January 2015, still on my phone, guys. I still have that voicemail from 2015. And that is William Zinsner scolding me for 3 minutes on the use of exclamation points. He was like, you better get them all out of your book, girl. And I did. And my editor was ready to kill me because I was like, oh my God, William Zinsner just wrote me a new one of my use of exclamation points. It's just hilarious. So anyway, let me see what you guys have written here. Tina says, grateful for discovering you and a few traders. It has helped me with my trading immensely, and it's a gift. I'm happy to hear that, Tina. Thank you. You're a gift to me, always being here and always being so uplifting. So I'm so glad you're here, Tina, and it's an honor to constantly get to commune with you in this little space. All right, Shane says, I will say that I was getting frustrated with my job and life situation, but in one of our sessions, you reminded me of my job supporting my trading business. It made a huge difference for me, shifted my mindset. Good job, Shane. Well done, man. Talk about taking something that was half empty and flipping it to half full. It's about as good as it gets. So well done, you. Very proud of you. So yeah, R. Silva, I'd love to hear what about those podcasts, the Study Trade podcast that I used to be on. What was it that, kind of helped you with your trading? What was it that perhaps I spoke to that you found helped with your journey? Shane, I'm so happy that that's the case. Tina, I'm so happy that's the case. I'd love to hear from everybody here just around what you're grateful for in your trading, in your life, in your journey, in the relationships you have. Why? Because I want to get you guys all ready for tomorrow so that if you have yourself, I'm glad you found me too. So, R. Silva, I'm really glad you're here. It's awesome. We do this almost every Wednesday, and when I'm able to, I try to do it a little bit on Tuesday and Thursday too, but Wednesday is for the most part happening. And I'd be really curious what happens, guys, if you start to repeat the phrase, everything always works out for me. Like, what changes for you? What is life? What happens in your life? What happens in your trading if you start to hold space that everything always works out for you? I want you guys to ultimately begin to feel empowered, begin to see yourself as a creator, as a person who can respond to whatever life shows you, whatever the market shows you, whatever the journey shows you, and respond from this place of power and from a place of choice, right? It's huge. Hi, Eric. I'm glad you're here. Everything always works out for me. Tina, I'm not surprised that everything always works out for you. I'm glad to hear it, and I'm glad to hear you saying it. That's the power, Eric, for sure. The power of positivity, right? It's about faking it until you make it. It's huge. I'm trying to remember I think it was Iana Van Zandt. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing her name right. But she talks about that all the time. And fake it, wrote it on the screenshot. Good. I'm so glad. The fake it till you make it is not about doing things that are risky or crazy. It's about acting as if, setting yourself up for success by acting as if. I've shared with you guys the story of how when I first started coaching, now 17 years ago, 18 years ago, a year and a half into my business we were entering the 2008 crisis, and business started to decline. I was like a year and a half into the business. I started in 2006 or so. I quit the hedge funds, that have really juicy salary. And I start coaching. And for the first year and a half, I had so many clients. I just, because I think I was, stepping into what I knew I was born to do. I walked into my first training session, guys, and, it was a group of 10 or 15 people. And we went around the circle. Who has clients, right? We went around the circle. It was 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 1, 1. They got to me. I had 8 paying clients. I hadn't even been trained yet. And people were like, how the hell do you have 8 paying? And most of those people had clients they were volunteering with. They were like family members, cousins, neighbors. They weren't people that were paying them. And I had 8 paying clients. And I said, I really feel it's like, this is what I'm born to do, guys. And I finally found it. So, I started out really strong for the first year and a half. And then as the summer of 08 was coming, everything went off a cliff. And I was like, oh my God, what have I done? And then my friend had that great idea. And she said, what if you went and coached for free outside the stock exchange? And I was like, it's insane. And what do I have to lose? I had no plan B, guys. Like, this was it. I was going to make coaching work come hell or high water. I was like, this is what I'm here to do. And I don't care what it takes. I'm going to do it, including potentially make a fool of myself sitting outside on a bench with a sign that said the coach is in, like Lucy from the Peanuts. And that's what it said. Are you struggling, with this? I was like, the coach is in. And that was me. And I sat there very dressed up so I could counteract this woman probably is crazy, and sat on that bench. And that just October 7th, 2008 was the day the market dropped over 500 points. And before I knew it, I had a line of people standing there waiting for coaching because they were like, just got fired from a C-suite level position. CEOs came up to me, traders from the stock exchange floor came up to me, bike messengers came up to me, secretaries came up to me, people like it from all walks of life, because they didn't know what the hell was going on. And I would do 20-minute sessions right there on the bench, and then they would move on, and then the next person would sit down. And I just did that weekly for an entire year. If it rained, I didn't go. But for the most part, in the heat, in the colds, I just did that every week for a year. And what happened is a reporter saw this happening, was like, what the hell are you doing, lady? And I was like, I'm coaching people. He's like, right here on the bench in the street. I was like, yeah. And he was like, holy crap. And then Chris Taylor, this is a reporter, he was with AP at the time. I think he's still with AP. And, AP is a wire that goes out to a whole bunch of, he called me the Wall Street coach. So that's how the Wall Street coach got born, guys. It was a reporter who covered me down there coaching. So that's why for me, like live coaching, it's like, I've been doing that my whole life. So welcome to New York is exactly right. Hi, Jasmine. I'm so glad you're here. Good to have you. Good to have you. But yeah, so that was how this whole, game started for me. But why do I tell you that story? Yes, I started out initially with some business, but that was an example of fake it till you make it. Like, I was like, I'm going to go out to the streets of New York City and get some clients in. Like, clearly I was in it to win it, right? That's the subtitle, or the what do you call it? The catchphrase to New York City's lottery. This is the catchphrase. You got to be in it to win it. And that's what I want you guys. That is kind of the fake it till you make it. If you guys don't show up to your trading desk in whatever way you can every day or 5 days a week or whatever it's going to be, how can you expect success? You have to be in it to win it. You have to be committed. I was so committed to coaching that I risked looking like an absolute crazy woman on the streets outside the stock exchange. Who does that? A person who is committed to what they are feeling called to do. And that's what you guys have to have for yourself. If you guys want, I told you, did you guys see that clip I put up there? This book is here. I put this up on Twitter the other day. I just read this book. I met David at the Trades for a Cause conference. His book is called Cash Rules, Reminiscences of a Day Trader. This book is hard to read because David just gets knocked down and knocked down and knocked down and knocked down and then knocked down some more. And he gets up every single time. So unless you guys have a willingness to practice perseverance, unless you are committed to not getting stopped by losses, not getting stopped by red days, not getting stopped by your ego, trading is going to be very hard for you. You have to believe that everything always works out for you if you want to make it through the obstacle course that trading is. All right. Eric says, dress for success too. No trading in PJs. It helps mindset. Absolutely, Eric. That's such a good point. You want to have No clutter too. I can't tell you how many times when I've been in trading rooms, I've been very fortunate to do a lot of coaching in trading rooms, right? I did Investors Underground today. I done my first trading room ever was actually for a True Trader. I've done how many other trading rooms? I can't even tell you guys, like so many. I did one for J Trader. I did one for Trading University. Where else have I done them? I'm sorry, I'm forgetting where else I've done them. The clutter, I'm telling you. So I have coached traders where they have their camera on in some of these training rooms, and I can see behind them, and it sometimes is packed with clutter, other stuff from their life, other, like I get sometimes space is a premium and you don't have that much room, but whatever space is dedicated to your trading, it has to be immaculate. It has to be neat. And I know there are creatives out there. There are people who are very much like artist types who are traders who might like to work with things not perfectly aligned like I like them, and that's okay. But even in that, there has to be an order to the chaos. There has to be an order to that particular sense of, creative expression. You still have to have certain things in a row. And this was a big part of Brian Lee's talk. Yes, this is definitely a Virgo virtue. I'm very fortunate to have that. I truly don't think I would still be in business, guys, after 17 years if it wasn't for my being a Virgo, my being very systematized. Like I like my bento boxes. I like to have all my ducks in a row. I like to have my notebooks. I like to have my files. I like everything to have order. Now, look, that works for me. There is order to the chaos, Jackson, even though I know you're laughing. There is an order to chaos, but be in tune, guys, to whatever your desk looks like, whatever pens you use, the journal you use, the chair you guys sit in, the standing desk you stand in, the technology that you're using, the speed of your internet. Like all of these are part and parcel of the experience you're going to have. The rooms you guys belong to, the people you talk to, you have to be intentional about all of these things. The books you read, if you are not reading the books that other traders have written, if you aren't reading Jack Schwager's books, Market Wizards, this is his most recent one, Unknown Market Wizards. This came out, I think, 2 years ago. I had Jack on my podcast. Go listen to it because he is one of the best storytellers. Not only is he an excellent writer, but he is an excellent storyteller. And in my podcast interview with him, he talks at length. Jason Shapiro's in that book. So is Peter Brandt. And Peter Brandt and Jack and I are doing a Twitter Space this Friday. I strongly recommend you guys come and ask Peter and Jack questions. This whole thing started with me asking Jack to do spaces. I'm very fortunate. Jack is in my book, Transforming Wall Street. He's one of the Wall Street 50 I feature. And Jack has been very generous to me over the years. But one of the things is that one of my clients actually is struggling with a drawdown and just couldn't get out the mindset of, just feeling kind of demoralized. So I said, hey, Jack, tell me from all your Trader Market Wizard series books, what are the best stories to talk about a trader who had a big drawdown and came back? And he opens that last Twitter Space I did with him, which is like 2 weeks ago or so, with Paul Tudor Jones, who had this crazy loss and came back from it. So again, these Market Wizard books are all informing your mindset, are all coming from this place of tilling the soil. Like, you guys want to think of yourselves as like farmers, right? What happens when an entire crop is grown on the land, right? What happens is you harvest that crop. But what do farmers do after they have harvested the crop? They don't replant seeds into that soil that's now depleted of its nourishment. They have to till the soil, which is a painful process, right? For the soil, right? You have to use this machine that takes all the dirt way below that still has nutrients and bring it to the top. In a sense, guys, every day you have to till your own soil. You have to dive deep inside of yourself and clear your head, clear your mind, clear your expectations from everything you went through that day, the disappointments, the frustration. You have to rid yourself of that so you can go back the next day clean and neutral. All right. So what do we have here? Shane, I only have my notebook on my desk, just me and the screens. That is great, Shane. I'm very, very glad. Treat everything like a business. Eric, I'm going to give you a hard time here. Don't treat everything like a business. Treat everything as a business, because it is a business, people. This is no fucking joke. This is a business. This is the most volatile, competitive business any of you could ever enter. You are playing up against the smartest people in the world, not in the room, in the world. They are in it to win it, and you are potentially in the way. So if you don't realize the Goliath you're up against and prepare your arm for the slingshot that you represent, you are not going to do so well. It is a business, and you have to treat yourself, body, mind, and spirit, like it is the Olympics of your business life. If you guys don't take it abso-fucking-lutely serious as life and death, you will be crushed. You will be crushed. And I don't want that to happen. All right. I'm glad you're looking forward to this spaces, Shane. Come and ask some questions of Jack or Peter Brandt. And also let me know, guys, who you want me to have on either Twitch Spaces or on my podcast. I always love to listen to who you guys want me to have. Jasmine says, I got a gym membership lately. Hopefully that helps to clear my mind. I think that's a great idea, Jasmine. Plus, physical activity absolutely will clear your mind. This is, there's evidence of this. Huberman talks about it in one of his recent talks on his podcast about the power of walking and how walking has us be put in a natural state of EMDR. EMDR is a therapeutic approach to help get rid of some trauma. And what happens is EMDR is your fingers are, you have a therapist who moves their fingers as you talk about a traumatic event, and that left to right, back and forth actually allows your mind to process. But when you're walking organically, you are, especially if you're, out in nature, your eyes are going left to right organically to just deal with the terrain, to deal with the place you're walking, to take in the environment, and you're actually processing whatever has happened to you that day. And yes, I would agree, Shane, exercise is incredibly important because it helps reset all of us. And we all know that like the amount of activity, the amount of exercise we used to have before we all sat with computers was usually like 10 times what we get now on average. And I struggle myself with walking in enough. I swim 3 times a week, which thank God I have that because it's early, dark o'clock in the morning. But at the end of the day, there are days when I will feel exhausted because I get up at 4:45 to take myself for a nice hour-long walk after work. And that's something I repeatedly strive to improve upon because I know how different I feel when I walk versus the days that I don't walk. So I'm really glad, Jasmine, that you did that for yourself. That is really good self-care. And that's a fake it till you make it, right? It is encouraging you to really take good care of yourself, taking care of yourself like an Olympian would take care of themselves. They have to eat good. They're not getting a Diet Coke. I mean, I guess it's better than a Coke if you're an Olympian. But the point is, like, they're going to see their body as a temple. You guys have to see it as a temple, because how you eat, how you sleep, how you interact with the difficulty of your life is all going to come into your trading, whether you wanted to or not. All right, I'm going to pause, see if there's any questions. I'm thirsty today. All right, if I don't have any more questions, I'll probably wrap this up. Let's see, Conscious Language, One Word Matters. That's a great book, by the way, Robert Tennyson Stephens. And his book is called Conscious Language. Eric, is that what it's called? I don't know him. Tammy Gremla has been helping me a ton with my mental clarity too. Jasmine, I'm so glad. That book is a life changer. I can't say enough good things about it. It's been a life changer for me, and I keep reading it. I probably read it once or twice a year myself, because it's just so effective. Okay, good. Conscious Language, Eric. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I love that book so much so far. Yes, good. I'm so glad you love Jasmine. I don't think you'll change your mind, but the homework will be hard. I haven't read Conscious Language, Eric. I'm a practitioner of something called nonviolent communication. That's by Marshall Rosenberg. He has a book by the same name, Nonviolent Communication. Good. I'm glad, Jasmine. I'm glad you knocked out 30 pages. See, that's great. And I want you to really see, though, that the homework, which is only about 15 pages in, begins. And you need to do the homework for that book to really land. It's good for you to read it, but make sure you don't skip the homework, Jasmine, because that's where the rubber meets the road. Oh, my God. Our Silva is asking for book recommendations. I mean, look, I was just saying to Eric, the book's called Nonviolent Communication. Another book by Marshall Rosenberg is called Speak Peace in a World of Conflict. That book I would start first, and then Nonviolent Communication. Those two books and the work around nonviolent communication, that's where the needs list that I constantly advocate you guys sign up for is from. It's all from Marshall Rosenberg. Marshall Rosenberg and his language, he calls it a language of life. It's a language that helps you begin to have more empathy for yourself and for people around you. It's a needs-based language, allowing yourself to start to be much more in tune with what your basic needs are and what the needs of people around you. It is such a superpower. And even though Chris Voss doesn't identify that his negotiation tactics are informed by NVC, it is informed by NVC. He himself, I feel, because he was a hostage negotiator, he discovered it all on his own. But when I've read his book, I've listened to his book, I've taken his course in the master class. I actually did a session with one of his coaches on his team about negotiation. Powerful stuff, all in alignment with nonviolent communication. I can't tell you guys how much of a superpower nonviolent communication is. It is one of the most profound tools that I have in my toolbox. That's why I spend so much time advocating it here with you guys, talking about your needs, helping you guys to start to practice self-empathy, how to start to practice empathy with other people. But of course, it all starts with ourselves. So our Silva, I don't even know where to start with regards to book recommendations. I've given you guys probably about 7 or 10 here today, right? Taming Your Gremlin, Unknown Market Wizards, Cash Rules by David Hale, Nonviolent Communication, Speak Peace in a World of Conflict. I mean, I could go on. One of the things that I have that's really lengthy in the back of my book is a bibliography of probably 30 pages where I just list books. And that I couldn't I couldn't, 30-page bibliography is kind of crazy, but I had even more books. But my editor was like, girl, you got to cut them. You cannot put every book you've ever read in this bibliography, which I really wanted to do because I felt like all the books I've read inform so much of my view of the world. So anyway, R. Silva, hope that works for you, even though I'm not giving you more titles, but just catch me on another day and I'll give you more titles. But I guess I do want to say that just a lot of the books I just spoke to are all nonfiction. But there are so many fiction books that I really, really want you guys to read in equal portion to nonfiction. There are certain life lessons that fiction can teach us that are entering into our bloodstream so much deeper and more in a fluid way than nonfiction because it's stories. That's awesome, R. Silva. I'm so glad that you read a book a month. Reading is absolutely one of the most game-changing practices I have, and that is because I think I just discovered it as a very young girl. I actually am somebody that reads multiple books at a time. I let myself in my mood. I don't have a television. I got rid of my TV, I don't know, 20 plus years ago, best thing I ever did. So at night, I kind of just tune in to myself. Like, am I in the mood for this? Am I in the mood for that? So I always have 3 or 4 or 5 books going at a time. So I can kind of just, step into I just want to go into the story that I was just, exposed to, or I want to learn about this. I was reading David's book because he just given it to me at the Trader Conference when I went to Arizona to visit my sister. So it's like I just let books constantly come to me. People recommend it. I see them recommended by other people, and I'm always kind of on the lookout. I agree, reading is fun, and I agree, TV is kind of crappy. All right, guys, I'm going to shut this down. If there's no other questions, I'm going to say aloha. And I hope everybody here has the most fantastic Thanksgiving. I want you guys to focus on all the things you appreciate. I want you to focus on a new mantra for yourself. And maybe that mantra is the mantra of everything always works out for me. Eric says, breaking the habit of being yourself by Joe Dispenza is also good. Excellent. I'm so glad you spoke to that. Well done. Always good for you guys to share your titles in here. Jasmine, thank you so much. Shane says, thank you, Kim, and everyone. Have a great Thanksgiving. Grateful for all of you. I'm grateful for all of you. You guys make this what it is. I couldn't do this in a vacuum. Having you guys always here. Good. Arthur, I'm so glad you subscribed just in time. Perfect. I want you all to get Curtin called this week because I told you it's a little bit of a spiritual post for me, but I'm excited to share it with you, and I hope that it inspires you perhaps to just lean into your own journey with spirituality, your own journey with the divine and source. So yeah, what else can I say? I think that's it. But again, be sure to sign up for the Trader Space on Twitter with Jack Schwager and Peter Brandt. Peter Brandt is one of his unknown market wizards. He's the first trader featured in Jack's book. And it's going to be amazing. Peter is going to bring so much to the table. I can't even wait. Dari, I'm so glad you're here. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. You as well, Tina. I'm grateful for you also. Everything always works out for all of us. I love it. That is the spirit, Tina. You got it, girl. You got it. So yeah, I think that is it. I am excited to see you guys hopefully on the Twitter Space Friday. The market closes at 1:00 Eastern on Friday. So that's why I thought 1:15 was a good time to do this with Jack. And also, I'd love for you guys to let me know if anybody's interested in a small group coaching. We're going to start another cohort in a couple of weeks. We have one coming to a close, which is hard to believe, Shane. So if you want to, be a part of the next cohort of small group coaching, send me a DM and we'll hook you guys up with how to go about doing that. I'm excited for the holiday. I hope you guys are excited for the holiday. I hope you guys just like have excellent food wherever you're going, and that whoever you're spending it with, including if you're spending it just with yourself, that you treat yourself really well and that you treat those around you really well, and that you have empathy for all that you have gone through this past year and all that you need for this new year, and that you start to look at what you do well, at what you do right. Focus on the appreciation to yourself for being so courageous to trade in the first place. It takes a lot of guts, guys. So I'm very inspired and impressed by each one of you. And it is the ultimate school of enlightenment. And that school of enlightenment is not for the faint of heart, but you guys are pretty damn brave. And that's why you guys are able to hang in there. And that's going to make all the difference, I promise. All right. Aloha for now. And this was a lot of fun today. I love you guys so much. We will see each other next week. And as we say in Hawaii, a hui ho, which means until we meet again.